Hey guys, UFC 240 Max Holloway versus Frankie Edgar is in about 24 hours, and I'm here to give you guys the best breakdown available on these two fighters. Guys, UFC 240 is about to be lit. We have some huge prospects on this card. Not only do we have guys like Chris Cyborg facing off against a young contender in Felicia Spencer, but we have knockout artist Jeff Neal. We just have the card is stacked. I just can't wait for this pay-per-view, honestly, and I can't wait to see the main event, which is obviously Holloway versus Edgar. Now, there are some crucial points that we have to look at in between Holloway and Edgar. So I just want to jump in. I won't take too much of your guys' time. If you guys know, this part of the video, I'm just going to cover the points, and then I'm going to get into the film study in about 5 minutes. So if you guys want to skip to that, you can. If not, let's go ahead and just get started with this part of the video. So, Max Holloway, if you guys know, is the featherweight champion of the world. He was on a 13-fight winning streak before he lost the streak against Dustin Poirier in his last fight when he decided to move up to 155 and challenge for the interim lightweight championship of the world. He lost 49-46 against a game Dustin Poirier, and now he's coming back after a few months, and he is going to face a guy who he's supposed to fight 2 times before in Frankie Edgar, but Max got injured in one, and then Frankie also got injured in the other. So the fight has fallen through a couple of times, but third time's a charm. They both made weight, so the fight is on. Frankie Edgar, on the other hand, just came off a huge win against Cub Swanson in a decision victory. But before that, he came off a bad loss against Brian T. City Ortega, the former #1 contender. So we don't know where Frankie is at right now. Obviously, he did have a good fight against Cub Swanson, excuse me. And I think that Frankie Edgar is obviously one of the most talented fighters in that division, but is he able to come back from come back against a big opponent like Max Holloway? Because we do know that Cub Swanson has been on a losing streak. So I don't know. We will see. But this is the #1 thing I do want to look at. Max Holloway, from the very first time they were supposed to fight, UFC 218, has gotten leaps and bounds better. Frankie Edgar, on the other hand, hasn't really improved in any category. Maybe small adjustments here and there, but he hasn't really improved since he is getting older. On the other hand, Max Holloway is improving leaps and bounds over everybody. So maybe Frankie's best chance of beating Max Holloway was at UFC 218. Maybe it was at UFC 222 when they were supposed to fight. Now Max Holloway is hungry. He just had another loss, and he's going for the UFC lightweight championship later on. But before that, he is going to have to defend this featherweight belt. So, guys, let's just jump right into the video. I give you guys that little review. So, starting off with points, Max Holloway has to do a few things if he wants to win this fight. Point number 1, I think Max Holloway has to keep the fight at a distance. If Max Holloway closes the range, like a lot of people are saying, a lot of analysts are saying, well, Max has to close the distance. He has to exchange in the pocket because that's where he succeeds. I do not agree with that. I think Max has to keep his distance. He has a 5-inch height advantage, so just pop the jab, use long combinations like how he normally fights, and then maybe later on, if Frankie tires out, maybe you could exchange in the pocket. But early on in the fight and most of the fight, because Frankie's not going to get tired, you want to fight at a range because you don't want to exchange in the pocket with a guy like Frankie Edgar. Second thing, throw uppercuts and knees. Frankie's going to be challenging that takedown over and over again. He'll be shooting. So Max constantly has to just throw in a random uppercut or a knee in his combination. Doesn't matter which one, but just keep it in mind. So Frankie knows I can't just shoot at will. Max will be throwing those uppercuts and knees that will restrict Frankie from shooting on his legs throughout the whole fight. And third thing I want to talk about is attack the body. Obviously, that's big for both fighters, but Max Holloway uses punches very well, and he attacks the body with hooks and jabs to the body. So Max Holloway could use that against Frankie and tire him out before he gets tired. That'll be a huge advantage, knowing that both these guys carry a high output and high pace. If he could tire Frankie out first, that'll be a huge advantage for him. So I don't think Max will throw kicks to the body. I think it'll be more punch-oriented because Frankie is a wrestler. So if Max Holloway kicks and doesn't pull out right away, then Frankie will catch the kick and proceed to take him down. Where Frankie, that's where his strength is. He's a wrestler. Now moving on to Frankie Edgar. What does Frankie have to do? He has to throw combos to takedowns, and that is one of Frankie's strengths, where he throws combos and then he shoots in for a takedown, or even clinches and works in there. I think Frankie is very talented, and he's one of the most talented wrestlers at 145 pounds. And if he wants to win against Max Holloway, I don't think he could just get in this kickboxing match where it's one strike for one strike, because Max Holloway is the more polished striker, and I think Max will win that battle. Second thing that Frankie has to do is exchange in the pocket. So pretty much the opposite of Max. Max, in my opinion, wants to keep the distance. Frankie wants to close the distance and use his shorter arms to just kind of, throw heavy shots at Max. We saw it against Chad Mendes. When Mendes threw and sat in the pocket with Frankie, Frankie was able to catch him with the left hook. So if Frankie could kind of close the distance, push Max against the fence, a place that Max isn't very comfortable in, Frankie could have the advantage and maybe knock Max Holloway out. And last but not least, throw body kicks. Max obviously won't throw too many body kicks, but I do see Frankie throwing a lot of body kicks in this fight. We saw in the Cup Swanson fight, he likes to throw the leg kicks, he likes to throw body kicks. If Frankie Edgar could land those body kicks consistently, Max Holloway will start to tire out, and that's where Frankie Edgar will start to take over. So guys, that is my main points. I want to jump right into the film study, and we're going to go ahead and start with the featherweight champ, Max Bust Holloway. Let's go ahead and get started, guys. Okay, guys, so this is the first piece of film that I'll be breaking down today, and that is Max Holloway versus Anthony Pettis. Now, listen, I could sit here and talk about footwork and angles and this and that, but at the end of the day, we all know that Max Holloway and Frankie Edgar need to do those things to win this fight. So I'm not going to state the obvious. I'm going to sit here and maybe look at the things that some of the other analysts aren't looking at. So let's just go ahead and continue right here. It's Max Holloway versus Anthony Pettis. Max Holloway throws a combination and he switches stances, and he does this a lot, and this is something he has to do if he wants to keep Frankie on the fence. He needs to do that to maintain distance. And look, Max just kind of bounces around and he switches stances, boom, in the middle of it, and he stays southpaw. Very important thing if you want to keep Frankie Edgar off of you. Holloway versus Ortega. Holloway's best performance of his career, and this is round 4. Holloway has Ortega hurt, he has him tired, and what does he do? He presses forward, throws a bunch of combinations on the fence, and he almost finishes Brian TCD Ortega. If he could do this against Frankie and attack the body and make Frankie tired in the later rounds, this is the Holloway I think we're going to get. He's going to rush forward, he's going to throw heavy combinations at the head, at the body, and this is the product you're going to get. Look at Ortega, he's hurt, boom, right, left, right. You make a mistake against Holloway and he will capitalize. Okay, guys, so this shows how good of a counter-striker Max Holloway is. So look, Frankie Edgar likes to push forward. He likes to push the pace and come forward at a high velocity. So Max Holloway could just switch stances and counter him. That could win him the fight. And look, Ortega did the same thing against him. And Holloway starts in the southpaw stance, and look what Holloway does. He literally just shifts stances, goes back to orthodox, and he's ready to counter. Boom. And then he goes back to southpaw. Very talented and very hard to do in MMA. Okay, guys, so this is another example of Max Holloway using distance to his advantage. We both know that we don't want to see Max exchange in the pocket with Frankie Edgar, and he did the same thing with Brian Ortega. He didn't want to exchange with Brian Ortega because he knew how dangerous he was in the pocket. So what does Max use? He uses his long stance and long hands to use a simple combination on 1-2. Look, bop, bop, keep the safe distance, uses a safe combination, he's in and out. Okay, guys, so this is the final point I want to make. Max Holloway needs to attack the body. Like, plain out and simple, he needs to attack the body to slow down Frankie Edgar. You saw in the Brian Ortega fight, like I said before, round 4. This is one of the best rounds I've ever seen Max Holloway in. He tires Brian Ortega out, and what does he do? He gets in the pocket, and he uses body shots, and then attacks the head. Up and down, up and down. He could do this to Frankie if he could tire him out. So he could sit in the pocket as long as he throws body shots. Look, bop, 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 bop. Max Holloway is so creative with his shots, and he's so smart. He could beat Frankie Edgar just by using body shots. If he does do that, success is in the future.
He's melting. It is all over. Wow. Max Holloway finishes Anthony Pettis.
So here is the guy who will challenge for the 145-pound belt, Frankie Edgar. Guys, we all know what Frankie Edgar is good at. We all know he's good at wrestling, and we know how he sets up his takedowns. By using combos. He uses combos to distract his opponent, then he'll shoot in on the legs. So, if you watch the Gray Maynard fight, he does the same exact thing. But when he's shooting and they're in a scrambling situation while they're getting up, he fires an uppercut, hurting Gray Maynard, eventually leading to the knockout. Look at this, comes up and bang, hits him with the uppercut. And that hurt Gray Maynard really bad, eventually leading to the finish. Now, this knockout over Chad Mendes, in my opinion, is the best knockout Frankie Edgar has ever had. Now, if you see what Frankie does, he kind of engages a dirty boxing battle. He kind of gets into the pocket. He throws his left hook, knocking out Chad Mendes. Now, if you want to beat Max Holloway, you got to do the same exact thing. You can't stay at range with Holloway because he'll pick you apart. You got to make it dirty. He's got to sit in the pocket, and he's got to find those short, powerful strikes like the left hook. Look, gets in the pocket, bang, knocks out Chad Mendes cold. He has to do that to defeat Max Holloway. Now, this is where Frankie's bread and butter is at. This is where Frankie wants to be in the fight. He's a wrestler. He wants to make it dirty. He wants to throw those nasty elbows and nasty punches on the ground. So if Frankie could get this on the ground, he automatically has the advantage. But if Max could keep it on his feet, we already know the blessed train will keep on rolling to another featherweight defense.
The answer with a huge statement tonight.
Okay, guys, mind the hair, mind the shirt. I did spill something on myself, so I did have to change. But let's not talk about that. We are here for the breakdown video, not my stupid shirt. So let's continue, guys. So that was my breakdown video. I hope you enjoyed the film study. That's kind of my prediction, and not my prediction, but what I think each fighter will do to try and win this fight. Now the prediction is coming up right now, guys, and this is the most important part of the video because I am pretty accurate. I've been accurate over my last few videos. I've been calling the round and method by victory. So guys, this prediction is very important. Go ahead and listen up, and go ahead and like and subscribe right before you hear this prediction because you already know it's about to be true. Put some money on it. So, in my opinion, Max Blessed Holloway will defeat Frankie the Answer Edgar by unanimous decision 48-47 in an absolute war. Guys, I expect this to be a great fight. I think it will be a beautiful performance by Max Holloway. What I do think is that Frankie will have his moments in the first 2 rounds. Max might be absorbing some information. He's going to try and read Frankie Edgar a lot. I think Frankie will get a few takedowns, and he will have his moments in those first 2 rounds. But in those last 3, Max Holloway will come up big, and he will make a big comeback, making him, obviously, and still the featherweight champion of the world. I think it's going to be a good fight. I think Max Holloway is just too polished of a striker, though. I do think Frankie gets tired in those later rounds. I think Max will throw a lot of body shots. He will tire Frankie out, and Frankie will burn himself out in those first 2 rounds, guys. So that is my prediction. Even though both fighters do not get tired, I don't know why. I just see Frankie tiring out for some reason, guys. So, it was fun, guys. It was fun. I can't wait for tomorrow, UFC 240. Go ahead, watch it, order it, illegally stream it. Just kidding. Don't do that because it's illegal. But order it from my boy Max Blessed Holloway. Have a good night, guys. Like, subscribe, and I will see you guys later. Team Blessed, baby!